So welcome back to the channel. You can see my boat is out on the hard stand, ready for a bit of maintenance. Now today we're going to go and give it a good old jet wash. It's proper weedy on the outside, around the sides, not too bad under the belly, because I had a mid-season scrub. So a little bit of jet washing to do, and then we're going to check the hull for cracks, scratches, dings, delamination, the whole lot. So we'll go through that a bit later on, and also we're going to be cleaning the prop as well, so I'll show you how we do that as well. Let me talk about jet washes. Excuse me. So I'm using a cartridge jet washer. It's only like a standard sort of garden one, but I'll use the rotary tip, which does like a circular motion, which makes an absolute difference when jet washing. If you get just the one that squirts like a sort of a jet or a thin flat wash, it doesn't work so well. You really want that rotary one. So that's what I've got. It works the best. Not the most powerful jet wash, but it's enough to get it off. Once we've done all the cleaning, we'll do a light sand and ready for antifouling. So let's get to it and do a bit of jet washing and get wet. Oh, don't forget, kit up. There's nothing worse than getting cold in a February day now actually. So get all kitted up, all weatherproofs on. Let's do this. Just done all the jet washing, it's all done. Got rid of all the fouling as best I can. There's still a little bits where you got residue left over. We polish those out and get those all buffed out. So let's have a general look around the hull. So I'm looking around the edge of the tunnel, can be a weak area. So I'm just looking for cracks, any signs of delamination. All around there, and in the tunnel as well, just check that. Look along the flanks, is there anything obvious, anything at all, anything that bubbled or showing signs even of not being correct, you know. having a good look round. Particular areas I look for, obviously where the bottom's out, having a look around there, if there's any dinks, nicks. It's all pretty solid. I've tapped around the hull, make sure it's all sound, it all sounds right. There's no dings as such, you know, when you go like that, you want nice sound solidness. No movement, no flexing. Let's go around this back. You can see the anodes have been working quite well. It's starting to eat away quite nicely. The prop one is the second anode this year, so I wouldn't expect that to be too bad, to be honest with you. Coming round, there's the shaft anode. Yep, it's doing its job, which is good. So all in all, it is pretty good, and it's not what I wouldn't expect anyway. So yeah, all good. So got to clean the prop next, and the shaft, and the anode. Take the anodes off. So we'll do that next, get the rest of that done, and then we'll let the ground all dry out, and then we're going to do a bit of sanding to sand back, ready for antifouling. And I'll give you a show of what equipment I use on the sanding, which certainly makes your life a lot easier, that's for sure. Anyway, let's go and clean the prop, shall we? So now it's time to clean the prop. It's not too bad, it just needs a bit of a clean up. You can grind this and get rid of the fouling, but trouble with that is, I'll find, is you're always taking a little bit away from the prop. You know, a little bit of bronze or brass or whatever your prop is made of. So I'll do an acid wash, and I use brick cleaner in a little bit of a tub, and I also have a tub underneath to catch the excess acid, so we don't go on the ground, we dispose of it sensibly. So let's just show you what it does. It's a bit smelly, this stuff. Make sure you wear all your protective equipment, eyes and all that sort of stuff. So I'm just going to give it a gentle clean up, working it into the prop. This was cleaned, say, not long ago, so I'm not expecting it to be too hard to clean this, to be honest, and it's coming out quite well already. So if I bring the camera around so I have a bit more of a better angle. If I bring the prop around like that, there you go, you can see it's getting rid of the black. That's off the prop, cleaning it up nicely. Obviously, if this was been in the water all year, you'd get a lot more fouling than this. You know, be a lot more calcium on it. So it's pretty good. I've checked all the blades are all good, and there's no signs of dings, which is nice. Many years ago, I had a ding in the prop, so I took it for repair, put it back on. 3 months later, I hit something under the water again, dinged it again, so I had to take it back off. So expensive year on prop repairs that year. So there we go, there's one. So you notice the difference. But as I say, when you guys do your props or get them out for your yearly maintenance, it'll be a lot worse than this, that's for sure. And you watch the difference what that acid wash does. So much easier. You can give it a polish and a buff with a polisher if you want to. You you know, make it really nice and shiny. But as we know, they won't last long. But there we go. It's coming off quite a treat now. Anyway, I should carry on with this. So the prop is all done now. I've also done the shaft. You can see that as well. So yeah, it's all clean. I'll probably give it a little bit of a polish up just to make sure it's all nice and sprucey and clean, and there's no other little marks in it. So that's that all done pretty much for now. I should change the anodes a little bit later. The next job to do is to check the shaft. I've not spun the shaft yet, so I'm going to spin the shaft, make sure it looks all true, and feel for any tight spots. I don't suppose there will be, but you never know. Let's go and check that. So I'm just going to spin the prop and see if it feels pretty even all the way through. It does. There's no tight spots on it, which is great. The shaft looks like it's running true. Nothing real obvious. So that's all good. Also as well, just check, if I need to come around, checking the side where the cutlass bearing sits, forward and back, making sure that the alignment, it looks right, and also there's not uneven wear too much between the back and the front of the cutlass bearing. Make sure it looks like even wear. You can even give the prop a bit of a wiggle up and down. Well, I'll probably get a bit of wood in a minute and just do that, but I'll do that now. Actually, it's going to do that now. Going to check for any play. You're going to get a little bit. Going to move the. Right, looks all good to me. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, it's all sound. No play at all. So, all good. Just got to wait off to dry around here. Oh. It's all a bit wet for my liking. And once it's dry, we will go and do a bit of sanding. So welcome back. So you've seen me do the checking of or jet washing of the boat, checking the hull, cleaning the prop and the shaft up. It's now time to sand the antifoul back. So all importantly, you've got to be comfortable, have the right equipment. And I've been doing this a few years now, so I've got the right equipment for what I need. First off, a knee pad. Something to kneel on, lay on, whatever. Just a normal garden knee pad. That's what I use. You can get a bit of carpet, old bit of carpet, and lay it down under the floor and lay on that, depending what sort of surface you got. Now, safety. I use one of those. Full face mask, filters either side. It's an all-in-one system. If you go for the separate mask and the separate goggles, the goggles will steam up. Even though they're anti-mist, they will steam up. So go for one of these. Absolutely brilliant. You can probably see the blue marks all over them. I've been using it for some time. Absolutely perfect. Now, sanding wise, I use a rotary sander. it is a mains one. You can get rechargeable ones which are lighter, but I use this. I haven't got a big boat, so this is what I use. Now let's just talk about that. You've got the flat backing and you've got a sponge plate that goes on top, which helps for the contours of the boat. So it's going to line up the holes. That's it. I use the backing, the sponge backing, so any sort of curvatures, it will cope with that. If you go for the flat plate just alone, you will dig into the boat at some point. It just will happen. So use a sponge contour plate. It works a treat. I also have one of these. It's a little handheld, rechargeable polisher, sander, and like, so any small stuff that you want to get into, it's perfect for that. I use that as well. Great for polishing that. So sanding wise, 80 grit. I'm using P80. Perfect for doing the antifoul, just taking a small surface off, not going too mad at it. Absolutely works a treat and doesn't gouge in it too much. That's what I use on those. Let's get rid of that. And for around the chine areas, I don't use the sander, the orbital sander. I just go by hand. So I just use smaller 75mm sanding discs. Will actually go on there as well. But I'll do that by hand because around the chines is where it's the most easiest place to go through, because obviously it's a tip or a point, and if you go too mad you will go through, and maybe to the gel coat. So that's what I would suggest. Now I'm going to get kitted up and we're going to make a start. I'm going to do along the sides and then go underneath and do the boat. So let's do it. So you can see it's a little bit porous, so we're going to knock some of that out back and make that all nice and shiny and keyed, ready for the top coat. All right, let's get to it. Let's get sanding. It's a dirty job and you will get dirty, and it's a horrible job, but it's got to be done. Well, that's it folks, it's all done. It's all been sanded back. I've gone through in a few places where you can see the white, but that white is only white antifoul that I put on originally after I gel shielded the boat, so not too worried about that, but there we go. Happy days. hard work, but rewarding once it's all done, and it's well worth prepping it properly to get a nice good key coat. So welcome back. It's time to paint the boat. So this is the way I do it. Firstly, obviously the prep is key. We've done that, you've seen that. And the next key thing is using the correct anti-foul for what you need. Now, I know that in my area, which is in the Solent, is Tiger Extra Hempel. Works really well for me. So it's a self-eroding paint. I've gone for dark blue. And that's the paint I use. I have tried several paints over the years. That seems to work as good as any of the expensive stuff. That's about a sort of mid-range one, I suppose, something like that. So there's the paint. You choose what you feel is best for your area. Or ask for advice. People in the local area, they will know what works best in their area generally. Like anything, a good job is prep. Now, paint is there, tools for getting the paint on. I use one long roller, mini roller handle, and one small one. Save you getting underneath and stretching too far or crawling underneath the boat. Get a longer handle one. It's so much easier, so much easier. So 2 rollers, handles. Now, I use these. I use a foam roller. You can use a wool roller, but it lays it on so thick. Using a foam one makes a nice thin coat so you don't get too much build up. But don't forget to get the foam rollers that are designed for solvent based paints, because if you don't, it will just implode basically after a couple of rolls. You've really got to get the right roller. Plenty of them. A decent stirrer for stirring the paint up. Paint brushes. Masking tape. Got to mask up the line of your existing anti-foul. And it always pays to get a decent quality masking tape. It really does. I tend to go for the blue one. It's a good quality one. It's not cheap, but it works really well, and it doesn't bleed through the tape too much either. And it all depends how you put that on. It would depend on how much bleed through you get. So it's all important that. Stanley knife, just for trimming the tape where you need it. And one thing I've got to mention is thinners. Making sure you got the correct thinners for the paint you're going to use. So thinners number 3 for the paint I'll be using. This time of year, it's a little bit cooler. We're just in the beginning of March. Probably not going to need the thinners, but certainly in the summer months when it starts to get warmer, that paint will start to get a little bit thicker, and you just need that thinners just to loosen it up a little bit and then make it easier to apply. So have it at hand, get it ready. Use the correct thinners. Do not use any old thinner, because it could curdle a little bit and go completely wrong, and this paint is not cheap, as everyone knows. So first thing first, importantly, is masking it up. So when masking, what I tend to do is start at the back, peel out quite a long stretch, and eyeball it up. If you go at smaller stretches, you'll find that it waves like that, and it won't be such a good line. So let's go and tape up the boat and get that done before we start prepping for paint. Right, so let's get masking up. Gonna need the glasses for this one. A fairly good line on there now anyway, so I'm just going to get a little bit of it started, and then, as I said, I'm going to take a big stretch at it. It definitely pays to do this when it's not windy if you can do it. Keeps the tape straight. And you can look down the line. Try not to stretch it too much. There we go. And just double check it. Looks about right. Just smooth it down. That's it. Looks fairly good to me. You can take a second bite at it if you need to. Oh, like that. Just come back at it. There we go. Quite a good line all the way through now. So I'm going to take another long bite at it. I may go out of camera action. It definitely pays to do this when there's hardly any wind. That's for sure. Looks fairly good. Just making sure you get the edges of that tape well and truly to the fiberglass, so there's no chance of leaking through, or very limited chance of leaking through. So carrying on to the front of the boat, it does get a little bit tricky. You may need to take shorter runs at this as it comes round the front of the boat. And it's just all about eyeing it up. That's good. Just going to take it off a little bit, come back at it. So a little bit of patience. If it's windy, you definitely want two people normally. At the moment I've got a bit of water coming down the hole, so what I'll do is before I start painting, I should stick a little bit of tissue or cloth in there to stop it running down onto the paint. This is the tricky bit now, coming into the V of the boat. And just go back around the edges, making sure you got it all nicely snugged to the boat. Once you've done that, have a look down the boat. Does it look right? Does it look about level? Looks pretty good to me. Now let's go and do the back of the boat. Now, where you got the curves, just here, generally, as a rule, it can be difficult to get that in one hit. We'll have a go and see how we get on with it. Sometimes it may pay. See, you can see the natural progression of the tape wants to go upwards. So we're going to try and manipulate this down. I'm going to take, do you know what? I'm going to take 2 bites of this. There we go. There you are, 2 bites, and we got round the corner. There we go. Now I'm going to carry on with the rest of the boat. Well, the boat is all masked up now, front to back. There we go. Another top tip, when you come round, mask it up a bit and then fold the tape over at the end. Makes it a lot easier to grab it instead of trying to pull it off the boat, and it certainly makes a difference when it gets a little bit damp or wet. So, ready for antifouling now. So we'll open the tin up and go from there. Well, with any paint you normally get a retaining ring, so screwdriver, pop it off, no easy way really. Let's go around the other side, might be better. Nope, you don't want this coming off. There we go. Put that to the side. Break the seal. That's it. There we go. And at this stage, put the gloves on, because this stuff gets everywhere. Sorry for the background noise, we're next to a road and we're in a working yard. So, I don't know if you can see that, you've got all the sediment at the very bottom, so you need to mix it all in. So it's evenly mixed. At the moment it's quite liquidy at the top, so you just want to get that all mixed in. You can go round and round, or you can agitate it like that, which I tend to do, is agitate it like that. Bring the bottom sediment to the top and then let it sink through the top layer to get it really mixed. You could put a whisk in there, I tend not to bother. So we'll do this for several minutes now. So we've got it about an even consistency now, all the way through. It's nicely mixed up. No thick lumps. Scrape off the excess. One of those. Don't use one of those silly paint trays, that flat ones, they're just rubbish. Use one of them. I'm going to use this for the moment, and once I've used it once, I'm then going to put either a plastic bag in there as a liner, or if I'm feeling a little bit flush, I might even go and buy some. Anyway, tip off half the amount of paint, roughly, then you know if you've done half the boat, you've got it about right. On the tip, just a little tad more. There's no point doing thinners on this one because it's perfect, absolutely perfect. So long roller I'm going to use, and I'm going to start at the bottom of the keel, working my way around the boat. The key thing is not to load this up too much, just a little bit. I'm putting 2 coats on this. I'm putting a coat on now and I'm putting a coat on a bit later. Lightly coated. I'll do a bit more actually of that. There we go. And it's just a question of rolling it on. Getting a fairly even consistency. And there we go. So we're going to carry on around the boat. Well, that's it, folks. It's all done. It's all anti-fouled. Both sides, the underside. What a transformation, eh? It's amazing what a bit of paint does, isn't it? Absolutely fantastic. I'll put a bit of extra paint on the chines, just where it gets the most sort of rubbing, and under the keel as well. And there we go, all done. So I hope that's helpful to some of you, and many of you no doubt have done this all before so many times. So don't forget, like, share and subscribe. Plenty more to come for boat maintenance, fishing, kayak fishing, all sorts of stuff.